Who are the entrepreneurs that you admire most? I know I get inspired learning about women entrepreneurs because they have the most to teach. All entrepreneurs experience the highs and lows that come with building a company, from our humble beginnings to the risks we take to the failures needed for growth. But women-led businesses are on a different level entirely, and they are creating major shifts in society. Omaha has an abundance of examples that we share today about what we can learn from women entrepreneurs. Well, of course, we wanted to do an episode about women entrepreneurs, and that's what today's podcast is about. And I think, what better way to talk about women entrepreneurs than with three men here together? That makes obviously. We're going to hear from some amazing women, incredible, empowering stories that have kind of set examples for me, and I know Chris as well. We're going to hear from that on this topic on the podcast. I wanted to start by just, I guess, when you find that mentor, that person that you think you see, and you're like, I want to be that person, that's who comes to mind, or who comes to mind for me is Gwen Aspen with Anna Quinn. We started producing a podcast for her and her husband Jeremy, and I knew Jeremy for years in Omaha, and just kind of by acquaintance and from radio days and stuff, but had never really had a conversation with Gwen. And it was amazing because you instantly, when you meet her, and I think this is enigmatic of these types of leaders and people that you have in your life, you instantly want to be her best friend. Like, that's everybody who tells me, like, I want her to be my best friend. I want to hang around her all the time. She has got this energy, this just authentic kind of, I'm just going to lay it all out on the line and laugh with you. And you feel like you're best friends, but at the same time, you don't want to disappoint. You want to improve. You want to get better. And I credit, it was kind of a fluke. Maybe it was the universe kind of aligning things. But had I not had that kind of example at that point in my life, I don't know that I would have done anything. We would be sitting here today. So it really is cool to see influential mentors and leaders. Gwen was like that for me. I think we have this idea of our mentor has to be just like us, or it has to fit this certain mold, and they don't have to. I find Gwen to be one of the most successful, not just women, but just CEOs, period. I think they were the fourth highest or fastest growing company in Nebraska just recently. Just incredible what they've done with their company, and that's all on her. And so I think, if anything, from our perspective, we can see and recognize, appreciate and support some of the just incredible accomplishments women are making and pushing things forward, not just for other women, but for us as well, and inspiring us along the way.
In the United States, about 20% of businesses that are launched by women. So there's still a great disparity between men and women launching businesses, and I would say over the last decade that would hold true with the business owners that we meet with. And but the numbers changing quickly. I would say that over the last couple of years, we've seen probably 30 to 35% of the calls that we're getting coming from women. So things are changing. And there's some incredible stories right here in our own backyard. In addition to Gwen Aspen, and it's incredible what she's accomplished. Not just here in the Nebraska area, but one of the 500 fastest growing companies in the country.
Yeah,
it's incredible. Not just for a woman, but for any business owner.
It's a company too that, keep in mind, it started like 7 years ago, or maybe less. It's not like it's been around 30, 40 years.
Yeah, it's incredible. About 6 years ago, there was a woman in Omaha that approached our company about launching a business. At the time, she was a massage therapist for cancer patients. And she wanted to go in a little bit different direction. The massage therapy was taking a toll on her body. And she had an idea about starting a quilting business. And admittedly, we just couldn't connect with that concept. But she was resilient. She just kept coming back to it. She couldn't forget the idea that she really believed that she could launch a company that was different than anything that currently existed in Omaha, or the Midwest for that matter. Over the next few years, she continued to come back to us. We listened, Her idea started to develop a little bit more. And now you have Fabric Bash in Omaha, founded by Kathy Thayer and her son-in-law, Jacob. It's not for the faint of heart, nor is Kathy. She is a bundle of energy. She's one of the great untold stories in the state of Nebraska. It's located in La Vista, and it's like quilting for like you'd see at Disney. They have gone well out of their way to give the customers an experience that they've never had before. But what gave Kathy an edge over not only her competition was her resiliency, her willingness to not give up on that idea. And when we meet with people that have ideas, they are mired in fear that it won't work out. That what if she disappoints the people around them? Or they're mired with the what ifs. What if I don't get the funding? Or how do I get the funding? How do I get the resources? And I looked at people like Kathy, Gwen, Carol Sprunk. Christopher, you know Carol very well. She's another great story.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Carol Sprunk founded Cloud Coffee, and she's continuing to grow that business. She also owns and publishes Edge and Dine magazines. And Carol, I've had the pleasure of sitting down and meeting with her, and those meetings, the last meeting, you know, went much longer than anticipated just because we were having such a good time. But one thing that really struck me was her tenacity, and I think that word, you know, the tenacity or the tenaciousness of a lot of the women that we have come across and that we've met in these positions, that's something that they all share. And you know, Carol, I have to say, I don't think she'd be shy about saying that, you know, you can't tell her no. You can't tell her she can't do something. So, but she's somebody that I look up to, and she impresses me quite a bit.
I know, and I think, you know, it's easy, as guys, it's easy for us to not see things for maybe the way they really are, and not see through other people's through that different lens. I think I was in that place. I thought, oh, I'm this, you know, I'm for women's rights, I'm this and that. You know, this is like 2018, and I got kind of a rude awakening. I remember one day, cause we had just started doing mornings on Sweet 98.5, and Nikki Oswald was my co-host. And, you know, we get in there, have to get up at like 4 a.m. to get there at work super early. And I went in, I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. Like, you know, I'm just kind of complaining and moaning, like, you know, and she just gave me this look, like, just, you know, maybe shut up, but maybe using other words, you know. And she proceeds to tell me like her day, like as a mom, she's getting up at like 2:30 in the morning, I think, to drive 45 minutes because she lives in this small town by her parents, so they can have that kind of close family there. Drives 45 minutes with her kids, drops them off at the daycare, then drives her all the way to the station, does a whole morning show, works a full day, can't leave until 3:30 or so in the afternoon because obviously you got to pick the kids up at a certain time, picks them up, drives another 45 minutes back, and then all the other responsibilities and things she takes care of, you know, with just normal, you know, home life for any of us. But I'm just like, how do you have the energy?
And she had to take care of you at work.
And she had to take care of me every morning, or at least put up with me. But yeah, honestly, that was kind of I really felt, I was embarrassed, honestly. I mean, because I thought, well, I'm this evolved perception. I can perceive things and see things for how they are. I appreciate it. But the reality is, I really didn't see the whole picture. And even now, I would say, I mean, like we're constantly learning and evolving to see the entire picture. And I think you have to keep growing like that. You have to open your eyes, because it was pretty embarrassing to sit there and think, I'm complaining about getting a full 8 hours of sleep and eating donuts in the morning and just sitting there at the desk complaining. And it's like, you know, there's so many people who put in so much work we don't see, right, have so much talent that goes unappreciated. And so I hope that, you know, through this and through the stories we're going to hear from successful women entrepreneurs, we can kind of see more of this. What would you guys say? Because I know you've seen a lot of examples. Like, what would you say, are there like common traits you see with women entrepreneurs versus just entrepreneurs in general?
Yeah, they don't quit. I'll go back to Kathy for a moment. She has 8 kids, and it was very common to receive texts at 5 a.m. from her as she's taking her kids to swim practice. Then she would go into the office and start working on her dream. And just a few years later, here we are, and people from all 50 states have now come to Omaha, driven to Omaha, flew to Omaha, took a tour bus to Omaha to visit what is now becoming a tourist destination in Omaha, Nebraska. There's no quit in people like Gwen and Carol and Kathy and so many of the other guests that we're going to have. It's the common thread that binds all of them.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. Another couple that come to mind, Angie Sveck and her daughter, Cola Henderson. Angie and Cola founded Soul and Swag, and they're a fantastic promotional company. And the first time that I met them, they were just starting their business. And their showroom was in Angie's apartment. And, she had it all beautifully presented and set out, and she very clearly described what it was that they did, and I was impressed then. But to see what they've accomplished now, they have their swag studio. They have this big, beautiful studio that they put together, and it was an ambitious project. But you say don't quit. There's no quit in those gals.
So we talked a little bit about what we see that drives women entrepreneurs, women to make their dream a reality. There are realities though that maybe that hold people back, hold women back. And we're going to share some helpful resources for you here. We're going to have it at the end of the podcast here, so stick with us for that. But what do you see as maybe, I don't know, they're like that imposter syndrome, which I think happens to all successful people, but it's a different type of doubt that you throw on yourself, or maybe even shame, or you're told you fit in this position, this role, and you can't step out of it, and it is unfair. Have you seen that, I guess, hold people back that may otherwise they have the talent and everything else? They've been, I don't know, kind of lied to about what their potential actually is.
Rarely would a product or service or value proposition be inadequate when we're presented or pitched an idea. Almost always, these are terrific ideas. They're solving a problem in the community. What stops them in their tracks is fear, being told that they probably won't be successful. I think we forget how often so many of these women have been told certain roles that they have in society, and they couldn't be more wrong. We've had the privilege to work with a host of women-led businesses in Omaha, and it's been a real blessing to us as a company. We're inspired, not because necessarily they're women, because what they're doing is sensational, both in their industry and for business. But as far as imposter syndrome goes, getting them to believe in themselves again, surrounding them with people that will be there for them as a resource and to help them recognize the wins that they've had along the way. All too often, so many of these people with these great ideas forget what they've accomplished just getting to the idea, having a prototype, bringing it to proof of concept. Maybe it's not an industry standard yet. Maybe they don't have a long list of clients, but they've got a proof of concept, and that's a huge win.
I think also, from a lot of the women that we've had the pleasure of working with, they've shared that they work within a community of women of support. Like they are parts of groups that are women-led and women-driven. And I think that they share that support for one another. And if I'm being honest, I don't know that could be the same could be said for a group of men. Men are highly competitive. Not that women are not competitive. We know that for sure. But I think women, from what I found, that they typically tend to lift each other a little more.
I would agree with that. Like men, it can get negative or selfish, I guess, maybe is a commonality, and not with everybody, of course. But
I saw, and I can't remember. I wish I could remember whose post it was, but I know is one of the ladies on this list, and it said I can't, or you can't compete with me because I want you to win also. Not that was terrific.
Yeah, absolutely. I think too, as far as like what all of us can do, it really takes a concerted effort to give people the opportunity to. I mean, I look at in Hollywood and show business that embarrassingly low percentage of women directors given the opportunity. I saw this as well in the radio industry when I worked there for a long time. It was just kind of the same. It was almost like a factory line of like the same manager would come off and then bloop, and it's like isn't that the same guy? Like is that Tim? No, that's Todd. Oh, okay. Like I could tell. And I think it takes opening yourself up to hiring someone who isn't you or who doesn't look like you. It's okay. In fact, I have found when you make that effort, you get much better results. I mean, the bottom line, that the hard number is there, but also just the culture, how happy you are and how healthy your company is. If you get different perspectives and you get different points of view and different personalities and different people, it's too easy to just say, no, I'm going to hire 10 Matts and then we'll be great. Like, no, nobody wants 10 Matts, of course. But yeah, I think making that effort. Yeah, 8 is tops, 8 tops, right?
There's an old adage that we use around 316 daily. If you want to go fast, go it alone. If you want to go far, go it together. And we see that a lot, especially with female entrepreneurs. We hosted a dinner couple of months ago, and I won't soon forget Elizabeth Pooley of the Square Donut in Omaha. She is a big thinker.
Yes, she is.
And right next to her was Carol Sprunk. And there's a lot that's going to happen in a room when you get those two talking. But what impressed me was Elizabeth brought her son along, who owns his own small business. He owns a detailing company. And it was important for her to bring him along to show him how business is conducted, to bring him along to a dinner like that, to meet other entrepreneurs, people that he could look up to. Little did she know that the person that he could look up to the most was her. But it's a common theme that once they taste that success and they experience it for themselves, they're so encouraging of everyone. You can do this. I'll help you do it. And certainly something we can learn in our own business lives and pass along to somebody else.
Yeah, don't stick with those assumptions just because you've been told, no, this is the way it is. There's so many examples of that in my life. I know in everybody's, where you just kind of you say, wait a minute, I want to watch this. I want to learn from this person. I want to see how they're doing it, or I want to hear from them. And it's the opposite of what oftentimes of what people have kind of told you your whole life of, this is the way it has to be. And so it's exciting too. We're going to hear from Tracy Hightower Henney and Susan Reff from Hightower Reff Law, a perfect example of women entrepreneurs being successful, not just with their law firm, but just in basically every aspect of their lives here. So that's exciting coming forward. But I did want to mention we do have some resources, because one thing that not a lot of people know about is there are resources, funding, grants you can get specifically for women entrepreneurs, and that's probably the biggest struggle. I mean, John, have you seen that? Where do I get the money? I don't have any money to start to invest in my idea. We've got those for you in the show notes, but I think that's a pretty common interest as far as women entrepreneurs when they're just starting out.
Even just getting set up, there are different opportunities that are available. So you take Google My Business. It's just it's a social platform that Google allows you to set up for your business. They actually have a box that you check for women-led businesses. And most women don't have any idea that box is even there. So there are simple resources that you can click that will help you be successful. But as far as funding and resources go, there are plenty of opportunities that are out there. They simply don't know. As is often the case with any entrepreneur, they don't know that the resources are available specifically to help women-led businesses. And we'll put the notes in put the comments in the show notes, and make sure that we get people in touch with the resources that they need to be successful.
Thanks for joining us here on the podcast. And if you like the episodes, please subscribe. Hit that follow button now if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. Subscribe, because with every subscriber, you help this podcast reach more entrepreneurs and business owners just like you, so we can all achieve those big, hairy, audacious goals together.